So I got saved in 2016. Surprised that as a pastor's child, I get saved in 2016. It's just
weird. What were you doing before that time?
I mean, I was just doing only child. I mean, only in the side of men, but I knew the struggles I had. That was 2016 when I got saved. Then 2018, I gained admission into the university. So I believe it was around that 2018, 2019, God really began to work on my heart and, made me understand that my mom was never my enemy and that every single thing she did was to the degree to which she knew how best to do it. In her side, she's like, I'm doing better than my mom, probably. I'm doing better than my dad. That was the best she could give based on the knowledge she had. So she was trying her best to ensure that this girl must not be wayward. This boy must not go south. Just ensuring that she keeps everyone okay. And the standard already, because you're a pastor's wife, she sort of was also trying to protect the image of herself and her husband. Because let's be honest, I don't think it's a really pretty thing that as a pastor's child, or even as anybody's child, you live this wayward life. Do you get? Now, it makes it worse that you're a pastor's child.
Hello, Unfiltered community. Welcome to yet another episode of Unfiltered with Love Babajide, a space where we have real, raw, amazing conversations. And today, we're going to have a conversation that is so deep into healing. Right, we have a guest today. Yeah, I'm not alone. We have a guest today, and today she's going to be sharing with us something that touches the heart so deeply, something transformative. She has a story to tell, a story of emotional abuse, a story of childhood trauma, and how that all of that has shifted her, pushed her into a point of healing. Okay, so today's story is not just about pain, it's about transformation and how the same things that broke us can be the reasons why we become whole again. So, welcome with me, Hannah Oladokun.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Welcome to the couch.
Thank you. I mean, I'm so glad to be here.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us what you do.
Okay, I'm a writer and an author. Yes, I have one ebook, Teenagers Are Mine. It is specifically for teenagers and it's a great book. You should get it.
You should get
it.
it.
I'm also a counselor. Yes. And I do a bit of learning and development thing, just like personal development. Actually, I'm much more interested in, teenagers, youths generally, and just helping them live better lives, live whole lives, emotional healing, mental health, and just that basic.
That's beautiful. That means we're in for a lot today.
I believe so.
All right, so without wasting much time, I would like to ask, you talked about mom. I want us to start from there.
God.
What was growing up like for you? Because according to what I heard, it was quite tough between your mom. So what was that like?
Okay, growing up, myself and my mom were not really friends. Maybe we were friends when I was maybe a toddler or something. But I believe that when I came to that age of accountability, I was like, I beg. Worse when I became a teenager. Because it felt like, I'm going this way. I want me saying, no, go this way. And I'm like, can't I just be a teenager? I feel like I'm big, I'm old enough and all of that. So it wasn't really so good. And I think that my mom was a bit strict, probably because she was the pastor's wife, so there was a standard, everybody's expecting the pastor's child to be perfect, no flaws and all of that. And me, I'm like, I'm just another human like every other person in church. So we were not so close. And there was this, I don't know if it happens in all African homes, but you do this and then your mom is like, you didn't do it well. You did that, you didn't do it well. So there is this whole idea of maybe they are perfectionist or something. And it was an issue for me because I felt like I just couldn't measure up to whatever it is she wanted. So I would throw tantrums at some point. At some point, I'm like, I want to be rebellious. But then when you think of the rod of correction, like, if my mom used her omorogu to smack you, your life will not remain the same. I mean, so that was it. But I mean, along the line, we just sort of got close, which is amazing.
I love when you mentioned about pastor's kids. So it means you're a pastor.
I am a pastor's kid.
What was that like? I was not.
Hey.
So, but I've heard people say pastor's kid and all. So what was that like for you?
It was a lot. I mean, aside from the fact that we had to show up in church earlier than every other person, we leave late. I mean, the service could have ended like 11. You're leaving church like maybe 12. or one, because your parents, especially on returns day, RCCG people would understand. So that was that aspect. Then there was a part of you always have to dress right. You always have to speak right. You have to greet everybody. You have to, I mean, if every other person is bad, you cannot be bad. If everybody makes mistakes, you dare not make a mistake.
My God.
So there was that, I mean, and then there were even people you would interact with, and then they would be like, you're the pastor's child. You're a pastor's child. And so there is that aspect of, I'm a pastor's child. I have to be perfect, spotless, and blameless. Just that this one is not before God, it's before men. So it was a lot, to be honest.
Wow.
But then there's the part where you also like it, maybe a kind of honor, probably, that or respect or admiration you get from some people, where you have people like, look at Omo Pastor, see Omo Pastor is this, and you're just smiling.
My God.
There's that part, but deep down.
So let me try to see if I understand what you're saying. It means that you guys were not allowed, I mean pastors' kids now, we're not allowed to be human. We're not allowed to go through the process of growth. Like there was no sort of thing like, okay, you can make mistake and then you do it right. Did you even have a time where you confided in somebody? Maybe you were going through, these things that we go through when we're teenagers. Some people had crushes on other people, you had crushes on older people. Some even had issues with masturbation. Does it mean that as a pastor's kid, if you are going through that phase, or you find yourself wanting to get knowledge or wanting to be heard in that area, it's not possible for you guys?
Well, it's not like it's not possible, but it depends on the kind of family that your parents have, like the kind of home they've created for you. There are some families where it's very easy for the children to approach their parents. I mean, it's really easy, but there are some families where it's not exactly the same. So here's the thing. We have some pastors that they place ministry before family. And then we have some pastors that place family before ministry, because they're like, ministry is just an outflow of what we do here. So if the ministry is placed before family, by default, there is a standard that you always have to measure up to. Now, I studied this family, T.D. Jakes.
Okay.
I look at his family, and sometimes I look at the way he sort of covers everybody. I feel like T.D. Jakes is this person that puts his family first.
Yes.
That was why when his daughter got pregnant, it was easy to just move on. And, maybe it was difficult in-house because he had to face a whole lot of backlash from people and all of that. But he stood his ground. This is my child. And look at Sarah Jakes Roberts today. But don't let me even try to imagine that I got pregnant. Hey, Jesus. I don't know, it would have been terrible, but it was actually a bit more difficult as a pastor's child to have people you open up to. Because there were standards. When you tell someone that I did this, and they're like, can you call? What? Immediately I see that reaction. Never ever again in my life. And I was always scared to even talk to my parents about some things. So about the whole crushes thing, I won't tell anybody. I didn't tell my parents, and I could not even write. I could not write them down, because if my mom sees it, Jesus will either come or you are sent. And I wasn't ready to ascend.
Will you.
So, I mean, I lived a quite secretive life. I mean, it was around 2020 that I told my mom some things, and she was like,
You see, that's not being able to open up to parents. Like you said, I think it's based on how some parents, build their home. And I think that's the typical thing in most of the African homes. Even for people like us who are not pastors' kids. I'm not a pastor's child. And that is
she has to raise that disclaimer.
He's far from being a pastor. My daddy will tell you, Pastor, please, it's not for me. In fact, if you say you're a pastor, my daddy will double check you very well.
Are you serious?
So is that serious? So I'm not a pastor's child, but still, it was not so easy to open up on some things, right? So if you're a parent watching, I think that you should take this lesson from us. It's
very important.
Love to you to make your home conducive enough for your children to actually be able to talk to you. Right, so let's come back to mom. I love that background knowledge and the information. So, at what point did things change, or did things begin to change, between both of you?
Okay, so I got saved in 2016. Surprised that as a pastor's child, I get saved in 2016. It's just
what
weird.
What were you doing before that time?
I mean, I was just doing only child. I mean, only in the side of men, but I knew the struggles I had. So that was 2016 when I got saved. Then 2018, I gained admission into the university. So I believe it was around that 2018, 2019, God really began to work on my heart and, made me understand that my mom was never my enemy. And that every single thing she did was to the degree to which she knew how best to do it. In her side, she's like, I'm doing better than my mom, probably. I'm doing better than my dad. That was the best she could give based on the knowledge she had. So she was trying her best to ensure that, this girl must not be wayward. This boy must not go south. Just ensuring that she keeps everyone okay. And, the standard already, because you're a pastor's wife, she sort of was also trying to protect the image of herself and her husband. Because let's be honest, I don't think it's a really pretty thing that as a pastor's child, or even as anybody's child, you live this wayward life. Do you get?
Yes.
Now, it makes it worse that you're a pastor's child because everybody in the church is looking at you like, especially in Nigeria. There's the way we look at pastors like, you cannot sing. Some people probably be thinking that pastors don't use the toilet. Remember that Joe story? And then Joe was like, people said he doesn't eat. It's just one of the kind of things people think about, or the perception they have towards people. So around that time, myself and my mom, I now began to extend a bit more grace to her. So she does some things. Instead of me to think of it the other way, I'm like, no, Anna, your mom is not your enemy. Mom is not really angry with you. Try to look at it in another perspective. So when the Holy Spirit began to do that, it sort of eased the tension. And maybe because she now knew that I was in uni, she had to sort of calm down a bit.
Yes.
Because she's like, don't let me use my hand to push this girl outside, because it's looking like she spends more time in school now than she does at home. So there was that part too, but that was around the time, our relationship really began to sort of get better. And then 2020, that COVID year, I was at home compulsorily. Everybody was at home.
I can imagine.
So that 2020, it was a lot, but I had to learn how to relate with her better, and how to also communicate how I was feeling in a better way. We are still on the journey. Not like we are perfect yet, or at least
it has gotten better.
Yes.
That's beautiful. Right. And I love the fact that today we're sharing a story of transformation, a story of healing, because not too many people understand that mothers are being mothers because they're also humans.
Yeah.
One thing I also learned is that our moms have never been moms before.
Never.
They're also learning on the job. And I think I won't judge my mom less now.
Because you're in the shoes.
I'm in the shoe. And I cannot just imagine my son doing contrary to what I want him to do, especially if he's not yet at that age where he can make the right decision for himself. Right. So I think, like you said, we should give more grace to parents.
They need it.
More grace, because like you also said again, that she must have felt like she was doing better than her mom. And I think that's why this topic is very important, that people learn to overcome past traumas so that they don't pass it on. They don't continue the game. We're going to get to that point where we talk about the healing and how it's going right now. But I want us to talk about how this affected your friendships. Did your relationship with your mom at any time, did it affect how you showed up in your friendships with other people?
Okay, I believe it did. I remember a particular season, I think it was just as I was trying to write this junior WAEC, and then I wanted to go to a federal school. So there was this entrance exam that we normally write. So I have a friend who was staying like maybe some 30-40 minutes distance from my house. We were friends. We have to read together and all of that. If I tell my mom that, Mommy, I'm going to Lagbaja's house, it had better be for a very good reason. Maybe I want to study. Even that studying is, I won't tell you, go so and so time. What's the time now? Okay, return at so and so time. So because of that, my friend on the other hand had a bit more freedom from her parents. I don't know how or why. So it was easy for her to come over. And then at some point, she felt like, I'm always coming over to your place. You're not coming. So because I felt, you know what, there's almost nothing I can do to this thing. Well, so it affected our friendship. And it's quite sad that even over the years that she has tried to sort of nurture that friendship. Till today, I don't think we have that friendship as such. So the part of get inside,
Please, you're calling that's my second name.
So I think almost all my life I've lived in a
God.
compound, like, and it's a flat. You're not interacting with people outside.
Ay, Jesus,
People outside are not
please.
interacting with you. Do you know it was so serious that even with neighbors, maybe our parents went out. Immediately you hear pom pom. The meeting has scattered. Everybody just goes inside. Of course, once in a while they might allow it, but it's rare. So I mean, probably that was one of the reasons why I ended up being more of an introverted person. That I'm always in my space. I don't relate with every other person. I'm just minding my business and drinking water.
Maybe purpose now has made you come out of that.
I believe purpose has. If not, I even found God safe. I most likely would have still been that person. But yes, it affected my friendships. I could not show up for some of my friends the way they felt I should. I mean, it got so serious that I think it was maybe around the time I was about rounding up uni. My dad had to tell me that be going out. Because I don't go out. Now, when I was in junior class, it was not so everybody was using all these small phones. So I don't think I had a phone until maybe GS3. So for some friends that were long distance, I could not even communicate. Was it just 3 or SS1? Either of the two, Sha. Okay. Then when everybody was on to go, I didn't day. So there was no way for me to keep in touch with some people, especially when I moved to a boarding school and all of that. The friends around my community, I can't go out to go and visit you. So I got used to just
being in your space,
being in my own space. So I'm at that point where even trying to now build friendship takes a lot of intentional efforts, because over the years, my parents ensured that I was always so that's it with respect to friendship. Of course, now they encourage me, but sometimes I'm like, you didn't give me this allowance as a child. It's very difficult adjusting now as an adult. But yeah, it affected my friendships a lot. a lot.
I can imagine. And speaking of friendships, I think now as an adult, it takes more to make friends than when we're a bit younger. And by that I mean now you have to be intentional. For example, now not so many people want to let you into their lives. As an adult now, I have my people in my space. I have people. So if you are coming to be my friend now, if I'm coming to be your friend now, I have to do a lot of work.
Yeah, you
to
have
show that I am intentional. I want to be in this friendship. Of course, it's not supposed to be one-sided. All right, it will be both of us showing effort that okay, I want to be there for you, be sure you understand, because everybody's busy now. Everybody's busy. Even my G's, my friends. I can't tell the last time we spoke on phone. Maybe 2 Saturdays ago.
Can you imagine?
So, and that's even before that time, it was about maybe like a month ago.
Wow.
Right? But we talk on WhatsApp. For example, you just posted something and I see and just, babe, this thing, I'll just, and that's it. Before we now have another conversation. So life is happening. All right. So I understand if you say that now it's quite difficult
it really is.
Make friends. So let me ask, has a friend broken your heart before?
Yes, nah.
How did you handle that? How did you handle that part?
So I'm going to start with a backstory. When I was in I think primary school, when I was in primary school, I had a friend. She was my best friend. She is Ghanaian. Okay. So I went for a long holiday. I came back. That's my best friend. They said they moved to where? They returned to their home country.
Wow.
That was my first friendship heartbreak.
Are you serious?
So my parents said they got their contact, but along the line, we don't know how they misplaced the contact. So there was no way for me to reach her. There was no way for her to reach me. And to make matters worse, her surname was like Ghanaian or is Ghanaian. And to even spell it or search for it, I can't.
So till date, you have not even...
Nah. And I'm talking of something as far back as maybe 2006, between 2006 and 2008, thereabouts. It has been that long. That was my first friendship heartbreak. I did not know it was an heartbreak until I grew older. So that's one. Then when I got to JS, primary 5, because I changed schools. In primary 5, I had a friend due to children wala. Somebody wrote love letters somehow. Your stuff got messy. I lost my friend as well. Then I had a friend that I now got to know was saying trash about me. And I'm like,
are you serious?
Till today, I'm still at that point where I sometimes think, how did this person sit to conceive this lie and then spread it? Because the lie still doesn't make sense to me, especially at that age. Maybe if she had said it now that I'm older, maybe I would have, let me try to believe you. But as a primary
Are you
5 person. I'm
serious?
like, I don't think I was at that time. Was I even up to 10? I can't really remember.
Mm.
So that was another. Then just as 1 to 3, I had another friend who were close. She changed schools. I changed school.
Jesus is Lord.
As I 1 to 3, I had another friend who were close, but probably because I didn't really have that foundation of nurturing friendships. So when we left secondary school, even our mom was trying to just ensure that this friendship is thriving. But today, we still talk, but I know that we are not really close friends as they were. So uni days, I now had another friend that one was even worse. I think that one made me cry. So there is this lady, we were classmates at the time, and then we were close. We even did pretty great together. We squatted together doing pretty great. So we had planned that in 100 level we would get our apartment together. But one thing led to another. We could not rent our place, a place together. Then I now noticed all of a sudden there is this particular lady that you're not following everywhere. She's following everywhere. She's not hearing gist that I'm not hearing about. And I'm like, so at some point I had to go to that. Like, but what's going on with respect to this thing? Like, no, this, da, 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 da. I remember that night, I went back home and I was crying. I was like, you know what, God, when it comes to this friendship thing,
I'm done.
I washed my hand off the whole friendship thing. And I did not know the impact of that on me until when I started a romantic relationship now, and then it ended. I now discovered that, okay, there is something that is wrong somewhere. So if you check the old friendship thing, you'll discover that it's either someone is leaving, or I'm leaving, or I can't communicate with someone, maybe due to distance or something. So over the years, that really messed up my mind. And I got to that point where I began to feel like people were rejecting me. And maybe I have a problem. Because it doesn't make sense that my friend in primary school, you just left. Another one, you lied. Another one, you changed school. Why are all of you leaving? And then the only person that even tried to sort of like be my friend for real, I could not be a friend. Maybe because I just felt I wasn't worthy enough. Maybe that was the thought, I don't know. But I just could not maintain that friendship. And it's really a whole mess. But I believe today I'm doing much better. And I think last year, for the first time ever, I told myself I have a best friend. I was like, Anna,
you surprised yourself.
Best friend, okay? Myself and the friend met this year and we had to like talk about a couple of things. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm just learning this, I'm just learning that. I'm just, even this whole friendship thing, I'm just learning it because I'm not really at that kind of friendship. And there is this kind of friendship that some people have that they claim is friendship.
Okay.
Yes, I'm about to bust your bubble.
Educate me.
It's the kind of friendship that you always have to feel needed.
How do you mean?
So here's the thing. We are friends. You are the one always needing me. So you are always sharing your story with me. You're always telling me stuff. You're always telling me you need this, you need that. And I'm always the one trying to provide that thing. But when the tables are turned, I won't talk about what I need. I find it difficult to share.
That's not friendship.
Some people perceive that to be friendship. No. And I actually perceive that to be friendship.
Are you serious?
Yes, because I was not in a relationship where the things that I normally would give to people, I wasn't giving those things anymore. And then I'm not like, well, you most likely be leaving like every other person. So I'm preparing my heart that so person is about to leave. Please help us open the door. Do you get? And then the person is like, leave to me. What's wrong with you? And I'm like, I don't have this to give you. I don't have that one to give you. Wow. And she comforted me. I was like, are you praying that I should always need this thing? And I said, no. So when she said that, I really began to think that really, do I expect her to always be in this state? Yes, friends should be there for each other and all of that, but I should not always expect that she has to be that person in need. And sometimes friendship, we're always saying that your friend should add value to you and all of that. But I feel like there are some seasons that they might not necessarily add a kind of value to you. But as long as they can show up for you when you need them, maybe you just want to rant and you can still pick your phone and call and you can still rap like that and the person would listen to all your rants and everything. There is always a season like that in friendship. So I'm trying to just learn the whole friendship thing because it's a lot. It's a lot, especially for someone that now does a bit of counseling. They're always trying to counsel everybody. I'm like, and everybody's not your counselee.
Yeah.
Everybody's not your counselee. It's just trauma, really. It's trauma reflecting in your friendships. It's trauma reflecting in the way you perceive things to be. It's a lot. I'm just learning myself and I'm healing through it. So I just had to share that so that some people would not start saying, I'm always there, but then calm down. You've not really gotten like a perfect definition of what friendship is. And I think it's quite sad because some of us even grew up in families where we didn't really see our parents have so much friends. So the whole friendship thing is strange. Okay, I think I touched someone there. Yeah, but I mean, we are learning now so that we can do better, right?
True. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I think that when it comes to friendship, we need to sit down and now scatter this thing.
Yes,
rearrange it, right? Because I also noticed that some people don't like to be vulnerable in their friendships.
I don't.
They like to be the one sitting up there,
the strong person.
Yes, the strong person, and you cannot always be strong, and that's why we all need friends. And we can't be friends with everybody.
Yeah.
But your circle must be a safe circle, a place where you can be. I can cry if I need to cry. A place where I can talk about my struggles. We can't, and I feel like maybe personality types also is a factor.
It is,
right? You hardly see me cry or be the ones, but when it comes to my friends, I'm ranting. When I need to, I'm ranting when I need to rant. I'm talking, and I feel like that's what friendship is for, where we can also lean back and allow people to treat us like babies, where we can also sit down and take lectures.
Exactly.
So for those of us that counsel people, because I do. If people already know that I am into counseling, right? It can be difficult not to want to talk about your struggles, but that's where good friendships matter. Your inner circle must be able to absorb you. They shouldn't be those people that will say, I thought you are the I thought you are the,
be strong. Don't cry.
No, let me cry when I want to cry.
Because
that's why you're my friend. Okay. And I thank God. The reason why I'm learning this from you, about friendship outbreaks and all, is because I've not really had that. I'm not really a friend person. And so if you're my friend, I'll hold you.
You better be my friend for
real.
real.
Be friends, because I am a very transparent person. You can see through me. Do you get? If you're my friend, you can see through me and say, I love you. We're not fire. So I cannot be around people that. I can't be around everybody, because not everybody has good intentions towards me. Not everybody can tell me when I'm wrong. Some people now can't tell me when I'm wrong. Oh God, tell me if I do something that is wrong. Please tell me. And I have one friend, Ifunaya. Oh Jesus! Everybody needs Ifunaya in their life. Ifunaya will look you in the eyes and say, "This the way." This last episode, she called me and said, "Babe, I've not seen this episode, but hope it's not that you threw the filter. You threw the funnel away." She was calling to confirm. That's why you went to go and steal rubbish. So we all need such friendships. We should find time to just, maybe if you guys want an episode on friendships, let us know in the comment section.
Okay,
please. So thank you for sharing. Let's move to that part of abuse. You told me something about it, and you said you were comfortable sharing. So I want to know, how was that season like for you? What do you think gave you away? Sometimes some people will go through abuse, different kinds. I feel like there are things that give them away. For some people, it may be that their parents were not so available, or what gave you away? Tell us about that area.
I would say that maybe availability was it. My parents are pastors. They go for meetings. They go for midweek services. Sometimes they are like, you guys are just coming back from school. So rather than us taking you to church, there was even a particular season in my life that school bus would drop me close to church because I'm going to church. Then after service, we are going home. That was like the cycle, yeah. So if at some point, not even if now, at some point, I think they were not really at home as it were. So the very first was, I think they went to church. So I was at home. Yeah, they went to church. That was the first. And I think what happened then, they were not at home. No, I think they went for a function. I think it was a Saturday or a weekday that I didn't go to school. I knew that I was at home that day. So that was it. They were not around. So I believe it's just maybe being too trusting. You just feel like this place is safe enough, but you don't really know what's going on. And then maybe if when the first happened, I could easily walk up to them and say, okay, mommy, oh, something happened. Oh, they normally tell parents that you should have this routine where every single day you sit your children down and you're asking, how was your day? Who hurt you today? Who was kind to you today? Who made you smile today? Who did some, just ask them questions and then help them be able to express themselves. Do you see? So we did not really have that growing up. I mean, my parents are amazing. They tried the best they could, and I really commend them for that. But we didn't really have that space. Then I think there was a time in my memory, I believe that time existed. I tried talking to my mom about something. I think I said something with that in that regards to I think I got a slap.
Hey,
I think that I got a slap and I'm like never ever ever shall I talk about this. So after that time, I just locked up. That was after the first. And the old stuff going up, there was I think there's a kind of abuse that we don't really talk so much about. And this one is about children now who have been exposed to sexual things from a tender age, who now meet each other and then are practicing what they've seen. That's also some a form of abuse. This mommy and daddy thing that we're always talking about. Do you know some children have actually the mommy and daddy stage they've gotten to, even you as the adult, mommy.
We have never explored this part.
Do you get? So that is, I believe that's also a form of abuse because they are abusing each other based on they don't know some stuff. So really, that was it for me. And well, we thank God for where we are today.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot. And I picked quite a number of things now. Especially now that I'm a parent. Creating a space where your children can talk, asking them questions.
Please ask.
There are some people that will not ask questions. I mean, that if you don't ask questions, they will not talk. I also have mentees like that. That is when I call and say, Lawada, what is that? When they will now start talking.
I feel like I tend to be that kind of person.
They will now start talking. So I think that's very important. But I don't blame our parents too.
No.
Because like you said, they did their best.
They did their best.
But in a country like Nigeria, where everything is calling for your attention, my God, we have to be intentional about parenting. And I trust God to help us so that we also don't fall short of these things in our own parenting journey. All right, thank you so much. So I think we should now delve into the part of, the healing, the entire wholesomeness. So what does healing mean to you? What did it look like? Or what is it looking like? Because you mentioned that it's a journey for you. So what's healing looking like?
Healing, I believe, is returning a thing back to its original design. So it's like the art. Now let's look at the heart as an example. The heart has a shape, right? This love shape and all of that. Healing is this heart has been broken or messed up in a certain way, and then I'm returning it back to the way it is meant to be. Now, when I say the way it is meant to be, I don't talk based on earthly terms. I'm saying based on the way God designed it to be. So you would read scriptures and scripture would say that Jesus healed somebody, maybe a lame person. When the lame person was healed, he went back to using his leg, the way God designed that the leg should be used. So when we talk about emotional healing now, or healing with respect to mental and emotional related things, we are saying that you are back to that state that God intended you to be in from the start. Because I believe that God did not create us to be broken.
Of course.
When he made Adam and Eve, perfect people, flawless, no EU. And then, of course, man fell and all of that. But when Jesus came, he came to give us access back to that original design. So we can look exactly the way God designed us to be. So when it comes to healing, when we're talking of healing is that your soul is in the state where it's supposed to be. You're not unnecessarily hungry. You are loving. You can love freely. You can give freely. Of course, you acknowledge hurts, but you are able to properly process the hurt, heal from it, and then go back to that state where you don't say, because I saw Shege yesterday. Today, I'm no longer letting people into my space and all of that now.
That's not healing.
No, that's not healing. That's not healing. Of course, there is a part of boundary setting.
Of course.
Where you're like, this thing that happened should not happen again to this degree. So I'm putting in the right boundaries, of course. But I mean, healing technically is returning things back to the way God intended it to be.
Thank you very much. So were there things that you did in your journey to heal? Were there things, practical things? Because I believe that there's somebody watching right now who is probably going through the same thing. Are there things that you did that you recommend for others to do too?
Okay, when it comes to healing, actually, I don't think I can talk about healing and then take out the God factor. And now this is the difference between a faith-based therapist and just every or any other therapist. No matter how much we do this therapy thing, it would help you get better. But there's always that point, that spot saying, it's God I need you. It's God I need you. Yes, you might look really okay, but you wouldn't necessarily be at your best. So at the core of it was God. Was and still is God, actually. So the second thing I would then talk about is I acknowledge that, of course, God is the one who heals. Then secondly, I began to learn vulnerability with God. A lot of Christians are not vulnerable with God. We do macho with men, then we do macho with God. And God is like, okay, you know, go tell me this thing. I know where to they stop. It's when God asks us to open up about things, it's not because God doesn't know about those things.
Yes.
It's because, number one, in expressing yourself, it's also a form of healing. When you get to talk about something, the more you talk about it, the more you talk about it. There was a time that I could never ever talk about being abused. You cannot get it anywhere. Never. Why will I? Because there was still that level of brokenness. I could not. But I tried. I talked about it the first time. I talked about it the second time. I discovered that the more I was talking about it, the layers of shame were falling off. The layers of guilt, as if I was the one that did it by myself, began to fall off and all of that. So there is that part of being vulnerable with God. Tell God, okay, God, I experienced this. I remember that night I talked about the friendship heartbreak thing. That night I went back to my room, my house that day, and I laid on the bed. I was crying. I was like, God, this friendship thing, I thought you said XYZ about this person. You said this, and so on and so forth. I could express myself because I didn't see God as this Almighty God.
You was,
you know, is it President General? You know, the God that you can. No, I had to learn how to approach God and really be honest. Look at the book of Psalms. David, my God, my God. But he was vulnerable. I don't think it's ordinary that God called him a man after his heart. He shared that relationship with God. A lot of times, the reason why we find it difficult to be vulnerable with God is because we already have a perception of who God is. We feel like God is wicked. God is XYZ. So here's the thing. There was a time I had to ask God, I was like, God, where were you when this abuse happened? Where were you when my friends were leaving? What were you doing? Are you not all powerful? Be vulnerable enough to ask God questions like that. I remember that last year I was in Liberation Bootcamp by Coach Tosin Sonny, and she said something. She said, God is not afraid of your truth. Like what you want to share. You want to say, God, I feel like you did this. It's like, God is not afraid. Is not bothered by it as a way. He wants to hear it. So she was trying to tell us that we should be free enough to tell God that, okay, God, this thing. So of course you have to learn vulnerability with God. Then another thing that sort of helped me, maybe because I'm a writer, but forget writing. It is something that everybody must learn. You must learn to journal. Write out.
Let's have it.
Just journal. Write out your thoughts. Write out how it's doing you right now. Another thing that I would recommend is learn to pay attention to yourself. Self-awareness is important on the journey of healing. You cannot heal without being self-aware. Here's what I'm trying to say. If I'm not aware enough to know that I'm reacting to something rather than responding, I will not be able to tell that reaction is based on
This thing.
something is wrong. So let me give an example. I noticed that while I was growing up, there was a particular time that I was just unnecessarily hungry. Any small thing like this, I've sparked. So now that I'm older, I mean, around that 2018, 2020 thereabout, I began to check, Anna, why are you reacting like this to things like this? I discovered that those things were actually triggers. So if they remind me of a particular experience I had, I'm not going to respond. I'm going to react because I'm reacting from a place of brokenness. That was what I was doing consistently. So I had to check, Anna, why are you hungry here? Why did you snap at this person? Why did you start crying when this person said this thing? Why do things like this make you feel shy? So I then start checking. Okay, why was I shy when Lagbaja spoke? Okay, I was shy because XYZ happened. Why did XYZ happen? Self-awareness and self-reflection. In the course of asking yourself those questions, you journal answers, write them down, ensure that you are journaling. So when you are now able to get to the roots, you're like, after you trace, this is it. When did this thing happen? Now, when I was served breakfast or the whole breakfast scenario thing, when it happened last year, I was trying to review the whole relationship thing so that I could, know the things that I've learned and then do better. I discovered that I had an issue with rejection. So when the relationship ended, it brought back that rejection thing. And I was like, oh, nobody likes you. It's because you have a problem. If you were good enough, this guy would not have left. So I began to, and I said, wait, Anna, why are you thinking that this relationship ended because you were not good enough? I discovered that, okay, there was a part of me that was still struggling with rejection. Why was I feeling rejected? I now discovered that it was the accumulation of the friendship traumas
that you had.
Some seemingly insignificant things that happened in my family. Mommy, can I actually happen to be a very sensitive person. Right from when I was a child, I've always been sensitive. So those little, come on, Mommy, can I know? Auntie, can I know? Began, my subconscious. So here's the thing. We all have the conscious mind and the subconscious, of course. Your subconscious mind gives interpretation to things, not necessarily based on what you tell it.
It just chooses what it interprets, right?
It interprets things based on its own way of keeping you safe. So let me give an example. I was trying to speak to you. You shut me up. Then I'm like, she shuts me up. Why did she shut me up? Then my subconscious can say, let me just tell you something. This life, don't be trying to talk to people. Because if you talk, they'll do this. So that you don't feel the way you felt when she shut you up. Don't talk to people.
Talk to people.
Hey. That's like a definition my subconscious has picked. So almost like a reflex. When I'm in gatherings, in places where I'm supposed to speak, sharp. My subconscious that related is my conscious mind. Like, remember? Like, no, don't worry, I'm not talking. Do you get? So self-awareness brings you to that state where you can track all those things. And then you can even get to that point where you can say, okay, I need healing. I need help. Something is not right. That was when I began to notice that this one that was becoming an angry bird is not a normal chump thing. I need help. I discovered that me not being expressive. I was sharing something earlier today of how that I'm always this person who is always minding her space. I don't want embarrassment. I don't want insult. I don't want disrespect. It's also something that stemmed from a certain level of trauma, a certain level of brokenness. Of course, like the person I was discussing with said, it was like, we like sort of say it's just you minding your business. He said, but if you check the roots, it's not just that you like minding your business like that. Something somewhere broke you to the point where you now decided to start minding your business. So, of course, you have to do that journal, self-awareness and all of that. Then pray. It's funny, but I began to pray about healing. Like with scriptures. Scripture says that by stripes we are healed. When we think of healing, we're always thinking of physical things. But what about emotional wounds? So you get to that point where you're like, God, so and so person broke my heart. I don't like this pain is a lot. Sometimes you will pray and cry.
Yes.
Sometimes you will pray and shout.
It's allowed.
Sometimes it's groaning that you'll be groaning. Just do whatever it is. Ensure that you are praying about it. Of course, pray scriptural prayers. It's very important. Based on scripture. It's in the course of doing that actually that you're even able to let go of whoever it is that offended you. Or whatever situation it is that, led to that brokenness. That's when you can let go of those things. Yes, you pray. And then if you can afford, reach out to a faith-based therapist or a counselor or a coach or something, someone you know that can help you in this area. What people like that do for you is they sort of hold your hand. They hold you accountable. Because on the journey of healing, there are days when you want to slip back into old habits, into how you used to be, because it looks easier. Look at Peter. It just came to my mind now. Jesus was like, come on water, right? And then he got on water, he began to walk. At that point where he was sinking, his reflex action could have been that, the boat, let me go back. So there's the part of you wanting to always go back to how you used to be, because it's easier. That's the life you've known. But then learning to, let me move forward. So when you have a coach or someone like that, when you're trying to sleep, I'm like, no. Jesus was the one who held Peter when Peter began to sink. I was like, no, Peter, you can't go inside the water. You have to stay on the water because you have to keep walking on water, right? So yeah, of course, get a coach or a therapist if you can afford that.
Wow. It's been a whole lot. Like, if you're going through this phase, I'm sure you'll have a manual on how to walk through your journey of healing, rather. All right. And I love the things that you said. Journaling, I don't play with journaling. There was a time I stopped journaling and I saw how much that affected my life. Right. So I highly recommend it. I'm praying. If you're not even praying, what are you doing?
What are you doing? If you're not praying, you're playing.
If you're not praying, you're playing. Stop playing.
Stop playing. Don't play.
Don't play. Right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. What you have to say to somebody that is going through a phase where they need healing right now? Like, what's one thing, even if the person did not see the entire clip, what's one thing that you think you'd say to somebody who needs healing this moment?
The first, healing is possible. Don't say you can never heal from something. Don't belong to that class or that group of people, or those group of people who are like, no, this one, you're broken, then you want to carry it to heaven. Why? So tell yourself that you can heal. When you believe that healing is possible, somehow God, nature, life generally begins to bring things in that line to you. And of course, be patient with yourself. Healing from a relationship heartbreak took me months. And I'm talking about 6 months.
Are you serious?
Yes, I didn't get myself together. Okay, the heartbreak happened around March. I didn't get myself together until around September, October, thereabout. So March to October. Be patient with yourself. It's a journey. Healing is not a bus stop thing. Like you just get to the bus and you're like, the end. No. Because healing would open up another area in your life where you need healing.
So it's like in layers.
Yes, onion now. So they open one side, they fix it, and then they're like, sis, are you ready for the next ride? You're like, yes, sir. So be patient with yourself. And then the last thing I would say is, ensure that you do not embrace negative thoughts in your healing process. This is something that a lot of people do, and that's why they make funny decisions. You would hear people say that, never trust men.
Men are scum.
Men are not scum. Maybe the person you were in a relationship with happened to be a scum. Not every guy is a scum. So when you begin to embrace negative thoughts like that, negative narrations, you are creating like, how do I put it now, a cage for yourself. You won't be able to ever see beyond that. And then the problem with that is, because you've already said everybody's like this, it is always those kind of people you would attract in your life.
My God.
Except by God's mercy, you would always attract those kind of people. Always. Because they will just gravitate, this thing looks like what we are looking for. They'll just gravitate towards you. It's almost natural. So be very careful the kind of thoughts you are entertaining in the course of your healing. Philippians 4:8, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are pure, and so on and so forth. Those are the kind of things you should be thinking about while you're on your journey. I trust that to help you.
I don't choke belly. You ate and left no crumbs.
Oh, glory to God.
Like Gen Z people will say.
Have you?
Oh my God, it's been a long ride, but it's worth it. If you agree with me, it's worth it. I've not really experienced heartbreaks and all, because most of my relationships, I mean, they serve people. I don't say I'm not doing. I don't say I'm not doing again. And funny thing, I was saying Jesus is coming. That was when I was a teenager. I said, I'm not doing again. Jesus is coming. Wow. Right? So, but I've learned a lot today. Such that even beyond relationship, there are other areas where one needs healing, like in the parenting part that we mentioned, healing so that we don't bleed on our children. Right? So I've learned a lot. If you have learned a lot too, please let me know. And if you also want us to talk about friendship in a broader light, Let's know in the comment section. Don't forget that in this community, what we are here to do is to ensure that we all become better persons.
Yeah.
And I am your host, not because I'm an island of knowledge, but because I also want to learn. I want to rub minds with beautiful people like Anna and people like you, right? So that we can all become better persons. Right. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much, Anna.
Thank you for having me.
And go and follow her on social media. You're active on. Tell them.
Yeah, I am. I'm active on Facebook and Instagram. Oladokun Hannah. Yeah. Oladokun.Hannah on Instagram. Then on Facebook, Oladokun Hannah.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for
you.
The wealth of knowledge. We hope to have you back one of these days. If you
I'll
want us
be
to
glad.
bring that back, let me know. Right. Thank you so much, everyone, for working. Thank you, Anna, once again. As I come your way again next time, stay unfiltered, stay intentional, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.